I live next door to a young couple who had a 6-year-old daughter. As for me, I live alone in my mom's house, which I inherited after she passed some years ago, so I got to know my neighbors quite a bit. One night I was kicking back after a long day of working at my car shop. The economy has been tough, so I had to do the extra hours, which was barely cutting it these days. As I was making myself a microwave dinner, I got a call from my neighbors asking if I could watch their daughter Haley for an hour while they go do some shopping. Of course I agreed, cause Haley was a game kid and was always quiet. Sometimes we'd play Mario Kart and I was kind of looking forward to it, so I packed up my dinner for later and headed next door. As I arrived, I noticed Haley seemed a bit quiet. Usually she'd come running up to me and punch me in the leg. As the adopted uncle, it was usually her greeting, but not this time. After her parents had left, Haley lays on the couch across to the left of me and I put on the TV and flip to the sports channel. I look over at Haley with a look of disapproval. "What's wrong, Squirt? Everything all right?" She looks at me grumpy as ever. I want to go to my room, but I'm not allowed in there yet. I give her a wince. "Why not? It's your room. All kids should be in their room if they want to." She looks at me with the saddest eyes ever. "That thing under my bed won't let me go in there until bedtime." I chuckle, thinking this is some kind of game. "Oh yeah? What thing under the bed? Is it a monster?" I say sarcastically. And with the most serious look a child can ever give an adult, she looks over at me. "I don't know what it is." Just that look alone sent a shiver up my spine. As I stood up, I paused for a few brief seconds and look up the stairs and back down at Haley. "Want me to chase it away?" Haley nods her head. "You can try." As she turns her head to the stairs and I begin to make my way up the stairs slowly as she trails behind me, grasping my finger halfway up. As we just about to turn the corner, Haley stops, holding her tablet under her arm, nearly shivering with fear, and I feel like things had just gotten serious. I continue on to her bedroom at the end of the hall and switch on the light. Standing at the doorway, I put my hands in my pockets looking at Haley. "There's no monster here. I think it's safe to go in there now." She slowly walks up to the doorway and points. "It's still there, Uncle. Right there." I scoff and look at the direction she's pointing at, and at first, I didn't see anything, but when I took one step forward into the room, my eyes suddenly had a stinging sensation, the same stinging when you cut onions. I started to tear up and wipe my eyes as Haley did the same thing, and I hear it. Thump. Thump. I wiped my eyes once more, and there it was, a head, the face of a rotting corpse with a cloth draped on it and a single arm dragging itself from underneath the bed. Gasping noises coming from its mouth as it came to the light, and its single hand pulling the cloth over its face. "Haley." "No." I suddenly gasp at the sight of this thing and my eyes start to tear up, drenching my face with tears, the smell of rust suddenly filling the room as Haley buries her face into my side. I quickly pick her up and dash towards the stairs and running down, coming to a stop at the front door. Putting Haley's shoes on her feet as she wipes her eyes, the rusty smell fills the house as we hear the thumping sound making its way to the top of the stairs. "Haley, come." This thing calls to her as I take one last look at the top of the stairs and see this thing's long 5-inch fingers grasp the corner of the wall and peeks its eye around the corner. Haley begins to sob quietly as we both watch this thing pull itself in plain view. I pick up Haley once more and leaving my shoes behind and run out the front door, and we come to a stop at my front steps. I hastily call her parents and tell them to rush home, who don't answer the phone after a few tries. Finally they pick up and I quickly explain what had happened and what we had seen. Their skepticism is heard in their tone of voice as they say they'll be back within 10 minutes. I sit with Haley on my front porch as she plays on her tablet. Not long later her parents' car pulls up to the front and we both go to greet them. I once again explain what had happened, with Haley backing up my story. They just think I'm pulling some kind of prank and using Haley's overacting imagination as leverage. Me and Haley's father, Tom, both agree to go and investigate as the females sit out front. As me and Tom step into the front door, the rusty smell is heavy in the whole house, which burns both our eyes. He looks at me. "Maybe it's the gas line leaking?" I disagree while whipping my eyes, and I look up at the top of the stairs. "Tom, look." He looks at the direction I'm pointing at and sees the thing crawling and thumping out of sight with its hood dragging behind it. He walks up the stairs casually with the collar of his shirt masking his nose. "That's what you're afraid of? Some skunk? What the hell?" I stand at the foot of the stairs and I make my way up halfways and could see Tom making his way out of sight. As I reach the top of the stairs and I see the thing just outside Haley's bedroom, Tom laughs and looks at me. "This is some sort of prank, right?" He bends down and tugs on the cloth as I watch eagerly, and the thing reaches around his single bony arm from underneath the cloth and grabs Tom by the wrist. Tom lets out the less manliest scream a man can ever scream, and for a few seconds the thing holds on as if it was stronger than a 6'3" man. It lets go of Tom and we both run downstairs and out the front door, AMD back to the girls. Needless to say, they didn't want to go back in there and I didn't blame them. The family of 3 stayed with me as we planned on what to do with the thing that had taken over the entire house. For nearly a week we had no actual plan. Tom's arm where that thing had grabbed him almost burned his skin and gave some kind of infection but healed a few weeks later. As for the thing in the house, it turns out that it was some form of demonic manifestation. That's just what we assumed, but it soon moved on from Haley's room. Now that it was gone, the family moved down the street and had their new home blessed and sold their old in the hopes that whatever this thing was wouldn't return. There are some nights when I'd look out my window into Haley's room and would feel like something is staring back at me. I shrug it off. Try my best to, but the image is this thing's face and that potent rusty smell. For some reason, it won't leave my sinuses. The end.